The sky that morning looked like it hadn't quite made up its mind. A gray quilt of clouds stretched over the small town of Winthrop, Georgia, a place where the streets still bore the names of Confederate generals. And the people walked like time had stopped sometime in 1963. If you were black, like 17-year-old Jeremiah Calloway, you knew exactly where you stood and where you shouldn't. Jeremiah laced up his sneakers in silence. His mother, Deborah, stood over the kitchen sink, stirring a chipped coffee mug with the kind of care that said she was trying to think about anything other than worry. The kitchen was quiet, save for the ceiling fan clicking with every slow revolution and the radio murmuring gospel in the background. "Stay out of trouble today," she said without turning. It wasn't a request. It was a prayer wrapped in command. Jeremiah nodded, grabbing his backpack. "I always do." But it never seemed to matter. At Winthrop High, Jeremiah was a junior with a perfect GPA, second in the science club, and the only black student in his AP history class. His teachers often told him he was articulate, like it was a compliment. His classmates saw his silence as either arrogance or threat. He wasn't loud. He wasn't disruptive. But he was tall, dark-skinned, and walked with the kind of quiet confidence that made white authority uncomfortable. On that Monday morning, all he wanted to do was hand in his essay on Reconstruction and get through the day. But the world, his world, had different plans. It started with a locker. Jeremiah's was jammed. Again, the school had given him the broken one when no one else wanted it. He tried twisting the rusted dial, his brow furrowed. Then came the shove. A shoulder slammed into his back, hard. "Move, boy," said Chad Whitaker, the school's football star and son of Sheriff Dale Whitaker. Jeremiah stumbled but didn't fall. He straightened up slowly, locking eyes with Chad. "Watch it." Chad laughed. "You got a problem?" Behind him, a few other white boys, most of them in Letterman jackets, began to circle. They smelled blood. Jeremiah had broken the unwritten rule. Don't talk back. Not to Chad. Not to the sheriff's son. The assistant principal, Mr. Granger, turned the corner just then. He didn't ask questions. He looked at the group, saw Jeremiah, and said, "Jeremiah, my office. Now." "But..." "No buts. Let's go." Granger's office smelled like burnt coffee and frustration. The blinds were drawn. Jeremiah sat stiffly across the desk, fists clenched in his lap. "You're making it hard for me, son," Granger began, hands steepled. "I didn't do anything." "That's not what I heard. Chad said you threatened him." Jeremiah blinked. "He shoved me. I told him to watch it. That's it." Granger sighed, like this wasn't the first time a black student had tried to explain themselves. "You need to be more careful with how you carry yourself. People are watching you." Jeremiah looked at him, eyes sharp. "You mean white people are watching me?" Granger paused. "You may think that's unfair, but it's the reality we live in. And that makes it okay?" "No, but fighting it makes it worse. Just keep your head down." Jeremiah left the office, heart pounding with rage he didn't show. He'd done everything right. But somehow in Winthrop, his very existence was still seen as a provocation. That Friday, Jeremiah was walking home from school, hoodie up, headphones in, backpack slung low. He took the long way home through Mercer Park to clear his head. That's when the patrol car rolled up slow behind him. "Stop right there." Jeremiah pulled his headphones down. Two white officers got out, Deputy Mark Rollins and Officer Carl Denton. "What's the problem?" "We got a call about a suspicious person fitting your description. Mind if we ask a few questions?" Jeremiah looked around. There was no one else in the park. "I'm just walking home from school." Rollins stepped forward. "I said we got a call. Take your hands out your pockets." Jeremiah did. Slowly. "I haven't done anything." "You got ID?" He nodded and reached into his backpack. That's when Denton lunged. "Gun!" someone shouted, though there wasn't one. Jeremiah was slammed to ground. Knees in his back. Fists. Elbows. Boots. His cries of, "I'm not resisting," were drowned in gravel and grunts and the sickening sound of flesh on concrete. They beat him because they could, not because they should. The hospital room was pale green and sterile. Machines beeped in slow rhythms. Jeremiah lay still, one eye swollen shut, gauze wrapped around his ribs, for in his arm. His mother sat beside him, motionless. She held his hand, brushing her thumb across his knuckles like it might undo the damage. When he finally woke up, he didn't cry. He didn't scream. He whispered, "Why?" His mother didn't answer. Outside, the world was already catching fire. His best friend Malik posted photos of his injuries online. Within hours, the story had gone viral. Hashtag Justice for Jeremiah. Students held silent protests at Winthrop High. Local activists organized candlelight vigils. News trucks showed up at the hospital, but the police department said it was all by the book. Sheriff Dale Whitaker said, "The officers acted in accordance with their training." Deborah spoke at town hall, voice trembling. "If their training tells them to beat my son for walking home, then the book is wrong." By week 3, Winthrop was divided. The white majority defended the officers, claiming Jeremiah must have done something. The black community knew better. Protests grew larger. Marches turned into blockades. The mayor called for calm. The governor stayed silent. Then came the video. A woman jogging to the park had recorded the entire arrest. It showed Jeremiah compliant, calm, and defenseless. The nation saw it. CNN, MSNBC, even international media picked it up. There was no gun, no threat, only brutality. And still no arrests, no charges. The DA said it was under review. A grand jury convened. The community waited. They voted not to indict. The courtroom erupted in gasps and sobs. Deborah collapsed in her chair. Jeremiah sat stone-faced, jaw clenched. The prosecutor said the burden of proof was too high. Outside, protesters chanted Jeremiah's name. Inside, the system stood tall and unmoved. But Jeremiah refused to be silenced. Senior year ended quietly. Jeremiah was named valedictorian. At graduation, he took the stage. Hundreds sat waiting. Even the sheriff was in the crowd. "Some of you see me as a threat," he said. "Some of you see me as a problem. But I am a student, a son, a future lawyer, and I will not be broken." He paused. "You beat me because you could, but I'm still standing. And that will always be more powerful than your fear." The auditorium was silent. Then came the applause. Jeremiah went on to attend Howard University, then Harvard Law. He specialized in civil rights litigation. Years later, he returned to Winthrop, not for vengeance, but for justice. He opened a legal aid clinic to represent others like him. And when asked why he came back, he said, "Because someone has to. Because silence was never safety. And because no one should ever be beaten just because they exist."